So I was working in Kabul as development officer, and so since I'm from Mazar Sharif, Afghanistan, my family was in Mazar Sharif, and when the current regime was taking over Mazar Sharif, the whole nation suffered for like 2 months because of the stress that was coming with it. And I was also shocked that the Mazar Sharif was taken over. I couldn't express my feeling that maybe at least the Kabul will be safe so they could negotiate a deal. But by noon, I got to know that the president had fled, and I was sure that the chaos is coming.
At the beginning, everyone was thinking that Taliban cannot collapse Afghanistan, and especially the capital city, Kabul. But on the morning of the other day, everyone was frightened. The fear of life was visible in everyone's eyes, and also everyone was inside their homes.
And then it was like 15th of August, I was going to the office like normally, like every other days. I just seated in front of my computer and started writing my report, like weekly report. It was around 10 o'clock that my mom called me that in a very stressed way that where are you? I said I'm in the office like as usual. And she said that the Taliban came to the part that we are living, like my home was a bit far away from the office. For the first time I see like I'm in a desert, like no one lives here, no one breathes even. And that's a kind of, I was like, what is going on? What is this? So I just get home and my mom hugged me, she cried me, and I was like, it's okay, Mom, I'm fine, I'm here, and nothing is wrong, so we're gonna be together. It's okay, I'm alive. And she was like, you just killed me by this coming late. I just told her that along the way it was really difficult, so no car, and we just walked away.
The subject of supporting Afghan students came up in the summer of 2021. Early in the summer, in May and June, we saw the situation in Afghanistan deteriorating. In particular, I had a meeting with an American journalist named George Packer, who encouraged me to read a book called Honorable Exit, which was about the American exodus from Vietnam. And that book really galvanized me. I reached out immediately to Alex Soros of the Open Society Foundations and said, we have Afghan alumni from AUCA and students who are in Afghanistan. The situation is deteriorating. We need to find support for them. Alex wrote back within an hour saying, we will support this. And then we began our planning with our colleagues from AUCA and others to try to get alumni of AUCA and current students from AUCA out of Afghanistan to AUCA while we still could.
When we learned about the situation, we were thinking what could we do to the alumni of the university who actually graduated from AUCA and were already connected and were part of the family. And it was a great news for us when we learned that administration decided to support the efforts of the Afghan students to continue their studies here at the UCA, and there was a special program, a May program for those students to come back to AUCA. And our office actually, we took the lead and we were sending out the messages through our mailing servers to the alumni, saying that if they wish, they could apply through this program and be accepted to university to continue their graduate degree. And we were very happy about it and tried to deliver this information on a timely manner.
Well, in a world of hopelessness, I received an email from MA program at AUCA. Then at the beginning, I was not sure that applying to this program will help me to get out of Afghanistan, but I still applied, and I don't know how they evacuated us and how we brought to Bishkek.
The period of evacuation went on for about 8 weeks. The first 3 weeks were totally unsuccessful. This was when the United States was still in Afghanistan and leaving Afghanistan. At that point, we were trying everything we could to get students from AUCA, alumni of AUCA, on planes out of the country. On a few times, we had students on buses ready to go to the airport, only to not get access. So that period was extremely difficult. None of us were sleeping. We were constantly negotiating to get access to airplanes and access to the airport, reaching out to the US government and other officials. Our efforts were totally unsuccessful in the end, and we were very dejected when the US left the country at the start of September.
That was kind of really horrible. At the meanwhile, we were contacting with our AUCA, what happened to our visa? Will it work or not? What should we do? And so on. And then later on started that we were thinking that this flight and everything should be okay. Then the horrible news about entering to airport and blah blah stuff started. And no one, previously it was hard to get out of the country. As a traveler, you should get a visa, you should be accepted somewhere else in order to go. But this time, it was the only part, the real difficult part was that you should enter inside the airport. The very difficult. And until 31st, every day, and during the 24 hours, this flighting was going on. And on 31st, 30 August midnight, around 1 a.m., this sound stopped, just finished. And around 7 minutes passed, but there was no any other sound of the plane. And suddenly we heard this sound of fireworks somehow, but it was like the gunfire for the Taliban were celebrating that we just made the enemy leave our country, and they were celebrating that.
Процесс был очень сложный. Тут была работа проделана большая, не только одного человека или одного института. Тут были задействованы разные люди, разные офисы, разные страны, я скажу даже так. Были переговоры как с Кыргызстаном, так и с Пакистаном, потому что нужно было перевозить студентов через Пакистан. Это было единственной возможностью, единственное место, откуда могли студенты пересечь границу. Было очень волнительно, было кому даже страшно за студентов, потому что была неясность ситуации, студенты боялись, мы боялись за них, но смогли наконец-то все-таки помочь студентам пересечь.
I just went to take photo for visa application, and nobody in the street, just men, they are really worried, and everyone talk about Taliban. They will come, and mostly stores closed, and just men look at me really strange. Why this girl in this moment? Nobody message in this group. Then my friend starts to message me, okay, just be strong and don't give up, something like this.
When they took over, I came to the place I was living. My immediate reaction was I need to take some measures to at least hide my documents, my sensitive documents. I tried to minimize my documents as much as possible. I burned down, for example, I remember my AUCA degree case and others. I burned all of them down right at the moment, and also I burned my other documents after the explosion, because when I wanted to hand over my documents to a relative of mine, they also felt not secure, and it's their right, and I should not be forcing people to take my documents. So I had no other option but to burn it. I burned my certificates and a lot of other documents. I just had my passport, my Kyrgyz degree, bar degree, and some vaccination and other cards that were really important for me. I burned all other things. I had just taken the photos, and yeah, that's it. I thought it's better for me, and even if I had saved those documents, those could have been problematic in future for my family.
So we had an amazing global team of people involved. There was a whole response team at AUCA. Celia from the international office, the entire international office, the alumni office, the student affairs office, the finance office, everyone was involved. We met regularly, sometimes once or twice a week, organizing and planning. We had a team at Bard College led by Brian Billings, who was amazing. We had the Open Society Foundation's Omar Werik was very much involved. We, in turn, on the recommendation of the Open Society Foundations, hired a Finnish security firm, which helped us tremendously. And we also cooperated with the American University of Afghanistan.
For the first time that I left the house, I didn't say goodbye to my mom. I said that I will say goodbye to you through phone if I just cross the border, because I'm not sure I will be back tomorrow again. And then I didn't say goodbye to any my family, because it was the fourth time. So then the next night, which was 15th of August, and we left again Kabul at midnight, and we reached the border in the morning at 7 a.m.
So the first evacuation didn't work because the buses couldn't enter the airport and it was cancelled. And then the second attempt was again took place. Unfortunately, some students were not able to come at the specifically mentioned time, because some of them were living in different locations and in different cities, and they had to travel to that point, and they had to take some measures. For example, some of them stayed at their friends' houses and etc. And we were still having some hope, because it was kind of difficult for us as well on this end, because we were hearing so many stories. People were calling us and sending some messages crying that they really hope that we can make it, and we really wanted to make it and to help the students come back to Bishkek, but we were not sure ourselves.
And I went to home, to the place I was living. I saw the true chaos there when people, so since I lived near the passport department, people were really running away, and children were falling, and people were rushing with their cars. It was really a saddening moment for me to watch this. Well, AUCA tried to evacuate during the whole 2 weeks. But since there were a lot of other people involved in this process, it was very difficult, because every government tried to evacuate the people who were affiliated with them, and AUCA also tried to evacuate at least 2 to 3 times. But those were the days, yeah, we couldn't.
Soon after the United States left, working with colleagues from the Open Society Foundations, we identified a Finnish security firm and developed this idea of sending people out overland. That was the breakthrough. That happened somewhere around the 8th or 9th of September, where we developed a new strategy after the US had left of utilizing loopholes which allowed students to go abroad and study. These were students, they had valid visas or the opportunity to develop valid visas, and therefore we worked with Pakistani authorities to grant them the right to travel overland into Pakistan through the Torkham border, as any students would. Pakistan has a long history of welcoming students from Afghanistan who have the right to study abroad. So our strategy shifted from trying to get on these evacuation planes to having a series of cross-border exits. We ran 10 runs of students over the border. 9 were successful, 1 failed. And then at that point, there was another opportunity which emerged, which was to have students on airplanes which went from Kabul to Islamabad. So more than 100 students traveled over land, another 70 or so traveled via air, and that was how we developed our strategy. That strategy, though, was informed by people all over the world helping. We had people in Kyrgyzstan who were working with officials at the Kyrgyz embassy and Ministry of Foreign Affairs to get student visas. We had people working with Pakistan to have the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs provide rights of passage into Pakistan. We had people in the US who were coordinating with the Finnish security firm. So there were moments when we had people in 5 or 6 countries working on this issue from different perspectives to try to resolve the various barriers. And it was amazing how an international group of people who were committed to helping these young students came together and helped them get them out of Afghanistan, ultimately to Kyrgyzstan.
After every time, when we were contacting each other, they were saying like, no, it will not happen because we see the situation is not good, and if we will go for the second time, maybe it's possible that the Taliban member will catch us and they will, we will be present somehow, and we will be not allowed to freely walk, freely live inside the country if this evacuation would not happen. So this was the overall like feeling, but like we had kind of hope inside us that no, if the community is trying to help us, if people are there for us like in the midnight, 2 a.m. In the daytime they are making some efforts to take us out, it means it's possible. And the only thing that we can do is to have more courage and to have more, positive thinking that, okay, this will happen and we can make it. Mm-hmm. So this was the only hope that we had, that we can make it and we can go out of the city.
The Kyrgyz government was really important. The Kyrgyz government announced early on that they would award up to 500 visas for students from Afghanistan. We had a lot of experience welcoming Afghan students at AUCA. We have more than a decade of experience of Afghan students. And without the help of the Kyrgyz government, we wouldn't have gotten anywhere. We were able to get the students to Pakistan, and from Pakistan secure visas to come to Kyrgyzstan. The students are here now, and we're incredibly thankful to the Kyrgyz government as the Pakistani government for helping with this process.
We were sent a pass for Germany, and around, I remember, 22nd of August something, but we were told to wait, and we did so because the security threats were really high. And had we tried to find a way to airport by our own, we couldn't know what was waiting for us, because by 26th of the August there was an explosion that killed more than 200 people. So yeah, that happened. Really, that's an unfortunate and very saddening.
Как уже студенты приехали, мы для них организовали, конечно же, такую программу, которая называется «Ориентационная неделя». Студенты участвовали в разных презентациях, то есть для них были организованы встречи со многими офисами, департаментами, как с академическими, так и административными. Был организован сети-тур, чтобы студенты могли лучше, быстрее адаптироваться к новой среде, к новому окружению, да, и к новым людям после такого стрессового периода в жизни.
Yes, we have such activities like Afghan students travel around like Bishkek, like Alarcha Park or Chunkurchak. And like Kyrgyzstan is a really beautiful country and we can travel and we are free here, really.
I want to go back to the situation when the alumni have come back actually to AUCA. This was a very familiar environment for them. They've been here for 5 years already. They know the city, they know the university, they know the teachers. So it was much easier for them to come back to Bishkek, although of course they were traumatized. And at the moment when they got back, nobody was really thinking on what will happen to them afterwards. Everybody was just relieved that they got home back, that they got to AUCA safely. At this moment right now, they're trying to concentrate on their graduate studies, although of course it's hard when they know their families are back at Afghanistan, their loved ones back in difficult situations. I think once they will be getting closer to their graduation, they are thinking of either finding jobs somewhere else, but of course everybody is hoping that at some point they will be able to go back to their homes.
It's really difficult days. People are having really difficult days, not just the students but their families as well. The families are scattered around the world. Some are in India, some are in Pakistan, some are in US, some are in Europe, and they really need support. The supports can be through scholarships, through other means, and advocacy for the scholars and students. And also, if possible, advocacy for the people who are left behind.
So the finances have come from a number of sources. The Open Society Foundations was extremely generous in their support of alumni of AUCA, and in some cases siblings of alumni of AUCA. The US government applied scholarships to students who were already on scholarship from the American University of Afghanistan, were given the right to transfer their scholarships to the American University of Central Asia. We have a number of private donors, from the chairman of the board of AUCA, David Lockdear, to individuals who are incredibly supportive and are choosing to remain anonymous. A huge community has come together to support these students in their time of need. We are extremely proud of the way in which an entire community came forward to help these students.
I feel strong. I should fight not for myself, but for other girls who are still are in Afghanistan, struggle with this situation. We shouldn't forget them. We should be strong and fight for them as well.
I think there is no special feeling because I already feel at home. AUCA and especially Kyrgyzstan is, I can say for now, my only home where I feel safe, where I feel okay, and where I can at least do what I want for the time being.
More feel like a student life right now compared to the previous semester. Just I'm on the track right now, and I'm thinking of either my family that how to get them out. But it is still hard. Still, I am hopeful for their future and for my future too.
Well, it's a bit difficult to think of the future, but for the time being, I'm glad that AUCA has given this opportunity for me to further develop my skills, academic skills. And well, I'm trying to apply for some other opportunities to pursue my education further, maybe for PhDs. But I hope that one day, sooner or later, the things that are happening in Afghanistan right now will change and Afghanistan become a home for those like me who are scholars, who are activists, and we won't have any problems for them, no other executions, no other problems. So I hope to return back to my country and contribute to the development of my country and my society.
I have taught many of those alumni who have returned since I've been teaching at ACA for more than 20 years. I'm really glad that they're here. I'm really glad they're feeling themselves safe. We at the administration of the university, the students, the faculty will be doing everything we can to help the Afghan alumni so they can feel safe here at Kyrgyzstan, and any other help and support we can do, we will provide.